I dragged her out of a burning car. 13 years later, she saved me. I was driving west on Highway 635 when a black pickup truck jumped the median and raced straight toward me. It landed hard and skidded into my lane. For a split second, I thought it was heading straight towards me. Just ahead, a silver Honda Civic was gliding down the left lane, completely unaware. She didn't see it coming. The truck struck her head on, going at least 70 miles per hour. Both vehicles spun across the road before the Civic slammed into the guardrail, and the truck rolled once, landing upside down, just yards from my front bumper. I stopped sideways across two lanes, heart beating out of my chest as it fills with adrenaline. Smoke began pouring from under the Civic's hood. Then, it caught fire. I jumped out of my truck and ran. The Civic's front end was crushed. The driver was slumped forward, airbag deployed, trapped by the seatbelt. The fire climbed quickly. I reached through the shattered window, unlatched the buckle, and pulled her out. I dragged her onto the grass as the fire reached the dashboard. We hit the ground just as the windshield exploded in flames. She coughed, blinked hard, and looked at me, barely conscious, but alive. I stayed with her until paramedics arrived. A state trooper pulled me aside and said, "If you hadn't gotten to her when you did, we'd be dealing with a body right now." I watched them load her into the ambulance, and that was that. Life carried on. A few weeks turned into a few months. I went back to work, paid my bills, talked about the crash once or twice, then moved on. Eventually, it just became blurred with a mixture of my past, like an old dream, something I didn't revisit. Then one day, in the middle of a grocery run, my body shut down, right as I reached for a box of frozen waffles. I hit the floor of the frozen food aisle and someone called for help. When I woke up, I was in a hospital bed with wires taped to my chest. They ran every test they had: scans, blood, a colonoscopy. The doctor came in with a clipboard and told me flatly, "Stage 3 colorectal cancer. It's aggressive, but we have options." I was devastated. You hear something like that, your thoughts don't organize themselves right away. A week later, I met the oncologist who'd be managing my treatment. She walked in reading my file. "Elijah Hunter?" she asked. "Yeah." She looked up and gave the kind of smile that carries weight behind it. "I've been waiting a long time to see you again." I didn't recognize her. "You pulled me out of a burning car on Highway 635 13 years ago." I just stared at her. "I never got to thank you," she said. Chemo started the next day. One afternoon, while checking my IV, she said, "You were wearing Pine Sport cologne that day." I looked up. "You remember that?" She smiled. "I remember it smelled awful, but I also remember the hands that pulled me out." Even with a needle in my arm, I smiled. As the months passed, I asked her more about her life. Back then, she had been a pre-med student. She'd been driving to her first internship that morning. "I was headed towards something I thought I wanted," she said. "Then I almost died. After that, my eyes opened and I knew I wanted to help people." By month 5, the tumor was shrinking. I could walk without leaning on the wall. I stopped dreading every phone call. I started thinking, just maybe I'd see next year. On my last day of chemo, I rang the bell in the hallway. Rachel stood off to the side, arms crossed, holding a box of frozen waffles. "You never finished your shopping?" she said. "Thought you might want to." A few weeks later, she emailed me. Subject: "Got a minute this Saturday?" Not a sentence more except a time and location. I showed up to find her standing in front of a small community center, smiling like she'd been waiting years for this moment. Inside were 20 young people, future doctors, EMTs, nurses, each one holding an acceptance letter. "This is the program we built," she said. "In your name. Every one of them is here because you saved me, and I chose to keep saving." I looked around the room, stunned, as faces lit up with purpose. And in that moment, I realized I hadn't just survived cancer. I'd survived to become someone else's reason to keep going. Because sometimes, pulling one person from a burning car lights a path that dozens more will follow.